Welcome to Cycl'n Vancouver. My name is Steve. This is ride 17. In this ride, I ride across Stanley Park to Beach Avenue and then east along Union to Renfrew Street before heading south to 45th Avenue and then working my way back to Ontario Street. After that, I'll head north back into the city. Today is March 24th, 2020. The pandemic is still continuing. The sky is gray and overcast, and quite a change from the day prior. There are noticeably few cars and people about, and the parking lots in Stanley Park are closed to vehicles. Of course, the road is still open for street parking. Typical government. I started this ride around 3 p.m. in the afternoon. The temperature was approximately 10 degrees Celsius with a possibility of rain. Thankfully, the cherry blossoms are out to provide some color in what is otherwise a very bleak existence. When I first started cycling back in 2014, I first started riding around the Stanley Park seawall before slowly venturing out to Science World, and then, as I grew more capable, out to UBC. I did not know any routes or really where to find good cycling areas. Rather, I got out and found them the old-fashioned way. I stumbled on them. Sometime in the spring of 2015, I decided to venture east from Science World along Union Street. That eventually brought me to Renfrew. I have driven on parts of Renfrew many times during my life, particularly around the PNE area and south to Broadway. I cannot say that I have ever paid much attention to the street or the makeup of the neighborhoods that I passed through. I just concentrated on driving. I look for four things in a cycling route. Number one, safety. Since I often ride with traffic, space is important, and by that I mean space away from parked cars on the right side and away from moving traffic on my left. Some streets, such as Commercial, are not safe and I no longer ride them. Two, limited interruptions. I look for a route with as few obstructions as possible. Around UBC, for instance. No one likes to ride a route which involves constantly starting and stopping. 10th Avenue is a good example of that. Three, variety. Improving my cycling fitness requires riding inclines, so I look for routes that have climbs. There are several routes around Vancouver, particularly running north-south, that require climbing. 4, beauty. I try to look for routes that also have lots of color and tree canopies. They help with the pain and suffering. My ideal route would be something like a laneway that you would find throughout the UK. Unfortunately, Vancouver does not tend to have many of those available. Renfrew is not a beautiful cycling route, at least the portion from McGill to Broadway. It is essentially the Le Corbusier of routes. Renfrew is a 4-lane thoroughfare designed to move large amounts of traffic north-south across the east side. And between Union and 45th, you can expect to run into approximately 5 traffic lights and occasionally a train. However, it has a nice wide shoulder for riding, and there are 2 good inclines. The first incline starts just south of Union and extends to 1st Avenue. The second incline starts at Broadway and runs to just past 29th Avenue. My only safety concern about this route is on the second incline. While there's a dedicated bike lane, 2 faded white lines painted on the roadway, southbound traffic merges from 2 lanes to 1, and I often find some drivers wanting to stay in the rightmost lane longer than I would like them to. That bottleneck could present some danger to complacent riders. Now once you get south past 22nd, there is a ravine park on the right-hand side, and it is quickly obvious that you are now riding through a mainly residential neighborhood. That continues to Kingsway.
And your product keeps the world at war, and you know. You should be the one to say goodbye.
Note Purdy's Chocolate Factory on the southeast corner at Kingsway. It's the large purple building. South of Kingsway, you are cycling through a purely residential neighborhood, and that continues to 45th Avenue, where the road comes to an end.
Cause you're safe and sound up there, and you built a wall so strong. And from far, far up there, you've led the world so wrong.
I used to ride this route quite often. It sounds so cliche, but Renfrew opened up a whole new world for me. I found the climbs quite difficult, but the payoff riding along 45th and the surrounding southeast area of the city made it very enjoyable to me.
You should be the one to say goodbye. You should be the one to say goodbye. Cause you're not doing anymore the favors you said you would do. And you're telling the truth through all of your lies, and you're advertising to who? Bang, bang, it happens so fast. And you
On 45th Avenue, I rode west and crossed Victoria Street at 43rd. I then worked my way west to Ontario Street. Some of these residential streets are narrow, and you must pay attention to the parked cars. This is the only area I have come close to being doored. So I took Ontario north back to Science World.